Okay, this seems to be working here. Let me just give this a check over here to see that the sound is coming through properly. Should be okay. Let's just see. Yep, that's working. That's all good. All right, so thank you for joining me again. Tonight we are going to be reading chapters 39 and 40. So, right, let's just jump right into it then. Okay. Chapter 39, Innocent. Earlier that Saturday afternoon, Innocent had pounded on Zachary's window. "Hey, Zachary," he called. "It's time we got moving." They were part of Jack's backstage squad and were due at the school to help set up the stage for the opening scene of the final performance of Joseph. Zachary joined him, pulling his t-shirt over his head. "We're a bit late. I never know how that happens. One moment you have all the time in the world, and the next moment you're late." They set off, marching along at a good pace. "Let's take a shortcut," Zachary said. "We'll go past your old house and down the donga at the back of the school across the rugby field, and then up past the bleachers. It's a bit quicker." It was with a pang of pure grief that Innocent passed his old home, the place where he had lived all his life, and where his beloved father had been such an important part of his life. The time when they never struggled to put food on the table, the time when his mother was a respectable member of society, and not the skeletal old harridan she had become, cleaning houses for uncaring rich people. Misery engulfed him. He brushed the quick tears from his eyes, hoping Zachary had not seen them. He forced himself to stumble along the path, dragging his unwilling feet towards the school. They reached the rugby fields, and before he could collapse, as he felt he was going to, Zachary called out, his attention caught by the shouting from Adam and Kate, and the unexpected sight of the pair of them, in this unlikely place, and at this unlikely time, when they should have been in the hall getting ready for the play. "We'd better go and see what's happening. What do you think's going on?" Zachary shouted to Innocent and took off running. By the time he reached the place where he had seen Adam and Kate, they had disappeared, so he followed them up to higher ground. Innocent was behind Zachary as he stepped up the rough, uneven stairway between the bleachers. He lost his footing, and he fell face first, giving himself a painful knock on the nose, which caused his eyes to fill with tears once more. He gingerly touched his face. No blood. That was a relief. Then he registered that Zachary was no longer with him. He started up the steps, wondering why his friend had deserted him. Puffing with exertion, he paused for a moment on the upward climb. His head poked out from the well of emptiness behind him to focus on legs and feet, moving but somehow disembodied in the darkness. He stiffened, sensing that something was not quite right. The moon had not yet risen, and his vision was restricted. He narrowed his eyes and made out a melee of bodies in motion ahead of him. He heard Adam shout, "Kate! Kate! Hold on!" To his horror, he saw Zachary cannon into Kate and Adam, and all three helped on their way into the sports pavilion, propelled by booted guards whose shadowy forms had appeared out of nowhere and who now turned the key in the lock. Innocent heard them slap hands together in a sort of job well done way before they melted back into the shadows. He expected to hear shouting from Zachary and Adam, or even Kate, but the silence from the thick-walled building was uncanny. Innocent was not sure what to do next. He stayed motionless, holding his breath, willing the guards not to look in his direction. All was quiet. I can't just stay here, Innocent thought to himself. I've got to get help. Up to his right was the sports pavilion where the action was. To his left, at the end of the bleachers, were the classrooms, and beyond them the staff houses, including that of the headmaster. Cautiously he began to edge his way sideways between the bleachers. The walk seemed interminable, and every time he kicked a stone or barged up against the wooden struts, he froze. But slowly, bit by bit, he progressed to the end of the top row of bleachers and managed to climb through the canvas walling, bringing him closer to the classroom block. He knew he couldn't risk going back towards the main path where the guards stood, but he doubted whether he would be able to edge around the steep sides at the back of the sports ground, where they faced onto the classroom block. Somehow he managed it. There was a heart-stopping moment when he lost his footing and nearly tumbled down the sheer, cliff-like side of the building, but he managed to pull himself up. Shaking, he reached the far end of the grounds. There, the inky darkness was broken by lights. Mynheer de Villiers was throwing a party, and it was in full swing. The oppressive silence that he endured while climbing was broken by the sound of music and the muted hum of chattering voices. He pulled himself up onto the classroom block and ran along the corridor towards the walkway. There he ran slap bang into Mr. Porter, who was haranguing the shaking form of Solomon, watched by a group of rustic farmers in coloured robes and a sprinkling of hangers-on. A wave of relief shot through him. "Mr. Porter! Mr. Porter! Zachary's in trouble!" Innocent gasped. "We have to rescue him!" "See, that's what I was telling you," Solomon said. "And it's Jack, not Zachary." "What are you talking about?" Mr. Porter stuttered. "Where? How?" "He's trapped in the pavilion," Innocent shouted, somehow feeling that the louder he spoke, the more Mr. Porter would hear. "And Jack too, I think." Mr. Porter reacted to the urgency in Innocent's voice. He'd been searching for Ramon for a good 3/4 of an hour, and now he recognized that something was very seriously amiss. Ramon was nowhere to be found, and now, it appeared, something had happened to Zachary and possibly Jack. Decisive action was needed. Collaring one of the behind-the-scenes helpers, he told him to find the maintenance man who was somewhere in the parking lot directing traffic, and to tell him to bring the key to the announcer's box. Or, he added, tell him to be ready to break down the door. Then Mr. Porter sent the rabble around him back to the hall and rushed off to the headmaster's house to apprise him of the situation. Innocent stood alone in the now empty corridor, all his senses screaming. The rescue of his friend was now out of his hands, but there must be more that he can do. Koos Venter came walking up. Mynheer de Villiers' strategy regarding the showcasing of his school, in-head boy in his formal uniform to act as usher. Koos Venter was a fine advertisement for the school, easy on the eye and wearing an impressive array of badges on his lapel, donating success in many sports and clubs. "Oh, what's happened? Has the stream... Oh, goodness me, I don't understand. A minute ago it said that there was really good stream health, and now it says there's something wrong with the stream. It's very odd. Okay, Well, we're going to carry on and hope that it works. Okay. As soon as Innocent saw Koos, something clicked in his brain. He remembered all the Standard 10 class solemnly swearing to protect the headmaster. It was time to make good on that promise. At the same time, Innocent was not sure if he was up for a long explanation, if Koos questioned him. And how would his persuasive techniques be if he had to convince Koos? "What's up?" Koos asked as he made to pass Innocent. "Go, go, guard!" Innocent snapped out and held his breath. When Koos heard the password, he sprang into action. He was feeling rather bored anyway, as nothing much seemed to be happening in the hall, and this was just what he was needing. "I'll get hold of Shongwe," he said. "He's probably in the dressing rooms." Innocent had started off, but when he heard Shongwe, he stopped. Was it worth telling Koos the truth? That Zachary was unreachable? That he was trapped in the pavilion? Innocent quailed. It was too much to explain. "I'll tell Shongwe," he said. "Oh, okay, thanks. That'll work," Koos said. "I'll notify my guy," and ran off. Innocent followed Koos to the main road that ran past Mynheer de Villiers' house, where the party was in full swing. Koos turned right, and Innocent turned left, then climbed over the fence and retraced his steps to MG Dean, running like the wind. His face ached from his fall by the spectator stands, and he was shaky from the nightmare climb around the classroom block. But all he could think of was the chart. "Go, go, guard." The mantra repeated over and over in his head, forcing him onward, though his lungs were on fire, and his jelly legs were in danger of wobbling onto the ground, never to work again. Over the rugby field, through the donga, past his old home, and onto where Temba lived. He knew Zachary was responsible for contacting Temba and Siswe. Temba was easy to find. He was at home, playing cards with his friends. He reacted very satisfactorily to the password "Go, go, guard" hissed into his ear. "What's going on?" he asked, pushing his chair back from the table and throwing his cards down. "Trouble at the school," Innocent told him. "I have to go," Temba said to his friends. "We'll finish this another time." "Give me a moment to get into my uniform," Temba shouted to Innocent as he ran out of the room. Innocent followed. "Where will I find Siswe?" Innocent asked. "Not sure. I think he went to Nelspruit," Temba told him. "Look, I have to alert Timothy Swart, so I'll go past his house." "Don't worry about Timothy. He's already at the school." Temba smiled. "That's good. The other person on my chart was you, so that makes it easy for me. Let's go." "But if Siswe's in Nelspruit, we'll have to go and get Nick. I think that's who Siswe was supposed to contact." "Yes, you're right. Do you know where Nick lives?" "I don't. This is going to take too long. It will be all over by the time we get back to the school." Innocent's voice trembled. Things were getting complicated. "Let me get my brother to drive us. That'll save us some time." "While you're doing that, I'll put the red flag up on Siswe's fence so he knows what's happening if he gets back in time." Innocent was anxious. Finding Nick was going to delay them at a crucial time. He climbed into Temba's brother's car and they roared off towards the school. "Nick lives near the tennis courts, I think," Temba said, and his brother turned sharply towards the courts. "Hold on, slow down. I think this is his house." His brother stopped the car and Innocent leapt out of the car and ran to the front door, knocking on it loudly. An old lady appeared. "Can I speak to Nick?" he asked. "Next door," the old lady said, and Innocent whirled about and rushed to the house she had indicated, with Temba following closely. Fortunately, it was Nick who opened the door. "Go, go, guard!" Innocent and Temba both burst out. Nick looked surprised. Serious? He asked. Serious, Innocent answered. Shall we wait for you? No thanks, Nick said. We're coming to see the play right now. My sister is one of the dancers. With that, Innocent and Temba sped back to the car where Temba's brother had the engine still ticking over, and caught up in the excitement, he floored the accelerator, getting them to the school at breakneck speed. Chapter 40. Full heart means persevere. Jack, Kate, Ramon, Adam and Zachary were silent. Adam's words hung in the air. Now what are we going to do? Jack's head ached and he felt dizzy, but all he could think about was that time was marching on and they had to do something. The room they were in was wide and spacious. It was used for business meetings and club-related events. The announcer's box was above it, enabling the announcers to obtain a vantage point above the sea of spectators who usually attended the sports events. It was accessed via a spiral staircase. Here was the announcer's radio and the lights used to flash scores. "We must get out of here," Jack muttered, his voice echoing hollowly round the walls. Adam snorted. "Fat chance," he said. Kate reacted to Jack's words. "How? Come on then, Jack. What's your plan?" "If I could get into the announcer's box, I could shout for help or flash the lights or activate the siren they use to start and finish the sports days. Or something," Jack said. "Let's do it," Zachary said. Together they climbed the steep steps. The door at the top was not locked. The boys could not believe their luck. Once inside, it took a while to figure out how to use the equipment, but finally Jack switched on the lights. "It's working!" shouted Zachary, and Jack turned the microphone onto full volume and yelled, "Mayday! Mayday! We're trapped here in the sports pavilion! Help! Help!" He continued yelling. Below him, in the shadows of the bushes, the two guards scrambled away from the unexpected commotion. As they disappeared, Mynheer de Villiers came running. He immediately took charge. Mr. Porter came stumbling after him, followed by security guards who'd been hired for the night. And behind them came a large number of interested onlookers, attracted by the noise and unexpected activity. From the parking lot of the Barberton Hoer School, the groundsman came running, waving his bunch of keys. The police sirens shrieked as the police answered the summons. Soon the area was awash with people, dust, tramping feet, shouts, flickering torches, and an extraordinary amount of noise. The groundsman opened the door of the sports pavilion and people crowded in. The paramedics and the ambulance arrived, and with difficulty they turfed everyone out and started to administer aid to the traumatized bodies before them. Zachary and Jack climbed down the spiral staircase and scrambled through the doorway into the evening air. Neither boy had consciously anticipated what it would be like to break out of the announcer's box to freedom, nor had they expected the lights and noise and crowds of chattering people who greeted them with shouts and clapping as they emerged. A policeman was the first to get their attention. "I'm Constable Mabuza," he said. "Your friends called us in." Adam and Kate came staggering up to them, having been pronounced fit by the medics, who then put Ramon on a stretcher and carried him off to the hospital. "You will need to come down to the station to make a statement," Constable Mabuza informed them. "Yes, we'll do that, but we can't right now," Jack said. "We have a huge do on at the school, and you're needed there," Jack told Constable Mabuza, Something weird is happening. Who kidnapped Ramon and why? Well, just let me get permission from my superior, Detective Markham, Constable Mabuza said. Kate had been listening to the conversation. No, don't do that, she said. Everyone turned and looked at her, startled. It's just that Detective Markham is already here at the school, and we really are in a terrible hurry, Kate said in a rush. The play's about to start. You'll be able to explain to Detective Markham when we get there. She crossed her fingers behind her back. Please don't let the constable be difficult, she implored silently. To her immense relief, she heard him say, That makes sense. I'll bring some of my team and we will meet you there. I can see something is going on. Let me get rid of these onlookers and round up my reinforcements. And you're sure this is not just a schoolboy prank? Absolutely, Jack said. I swear it is much more sinister. You must believe me. I must talk to the headmaster. There he is, over there, Constable Mabuza said, bustling off. What are you doing here? Jack asked, turning to Dan. He was feeling quite bemused by the recent events and somewhat thrown by the seemingly hundreds of people, the noise and the bright lights after the darkness of the sports pavilion, and the liberating feeling that they were no longer trapped in a hopeless situation. The horror of being utterly powerless was still with him. It's a long story, Dan said, and it's thanks to Innocent we turned up at all. He's been a real hero. While you were trapped, he ran to Emjindine and set the Go-Go Guard in motion, and then he ran to the school and found me. We alerted the police and they called for the ambulance. Explanations will have to wait, Kate said, wringing her hands. We have to get back to the play. Kate, come with me, Mr. Porter said, rushing up to the group. What are we going to do about Ramon? Miss Summerfield is calling for you, Kate. That galvanized them all into action, and they hurried to the hall. Soon the whole area was silent and dark. Then two menacing shadows emerged from the surrounding area. What now? Asked one. Report back to Conway, said the other. Silently, ominously, the two men started off, their feet padding in unison towards Mynheer de Villiers' house. Ooh, okay. Well, right. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to my story with me. We have 3 more days, I think. 2 or 3 more days. All right. Have a lovely day, and I will see you again tomorrow. Okay. Bye.